Call to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Stamey.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilman Farah.
Here.
Mayor Burton.
Here. Public hearings on two ordinances. Would anybody like to speak on ordinance number 659? This is amending the City of Clinton travel policy. Second ordinance is number 660, amending the CMC Title 14, Section 14-613, the P1 Mixed Use Park District. Anybody like to speak on that? Hear a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing's adjourned. Call to order, regular meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann.
Here.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Stamey.
Here.
Councilman Hatmaker. Councilman Farah. Mayor
Here.
Burton.
Here. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This evening, the prayer be given by Councilman Gann. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's begin with a moment of silence, if you will, please, for two of our Clinton businessmen who passed away the last month, Gene Brewer and Don Calhoun. Father, we thank Thee for our city, for what it means to each of us, what a special place it is. We thank Thee for men like Gene Brewer, Don Calhoun, who've helped to make it a better place for all of us. We pray that You would help us as a city council and all of the citizens to continue to make Clinton a better place for all of us to live, and a better place for us to bring up our children and make this indeed a special place. Be with us now in all we do, for it's in Thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Larry. Do I hear a motion for the review and approval of minutes of the previous meeting dated April 26, 2021?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. At this time, I'll recognize any visitors, citizens that like to approach the council with any praises or concerns. State your name and address, please.
Scott Ray, 648 Sinking Springs Road. I just want to praise the library system that we have. My daughter, Gabriella, and my wife take advantage of Book Babies. So I just encourage everybody to do the same. I think it's good to hear good things about what we're doing. And they're also going to be taking advantage of the swim lessons that you all are offering at the community center for babies. So keep up the good work, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Anyone else? Communication from the mayor. I have one item. I need a board appointment. I'd like to appoint Joey Smith to fill the remaining appointment of Walter Porter on the Port Authority. The appointment is ending February 20th, 2030. So that's a long time. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And that's all I have. Under committee reports, City School Board report, Ms. Johnson.
Good evening. We are wrapping up our school year this week. Our sixth grade graduation is going to be held Wednesday at Faith Promise, the Clinton Campus Church. We're going to divide those up to where North Clinton and South Clinton will be at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then the Clinton Elementary ceremony will be at 11 o'clock. So anyone is invited to attend that. Our last full day of school will be this Wednesday. Thursday will be a half of a day for students, and then we will start our summer vacation that's really not going to be a vacation because we have so much going on at Clinton City Schools this summer. The first week of summer, next week, we are actually hosting a STEM camp at North Clinton Elementary School where we have about 30 students that will be participating in that. And then we'll also be doing a Junior Achievement BizTown Camp at the JA BizTown by the interstate. We have about 70 to 75 students participating in that with a pretty lengthy waiting list. And so we look forward to offering those. And then our summer learning camp is going to begin at North Clinton Elementary from June the 7th through July the 2nd. And that will be held at North Clinton full day summer school. And we have 170 students registered to attend summer school. So we are going to pack North Clinton. We're using every crack and crevice for intervention and lots of fun. One of the biggest things that we're working on this summer is submitting our ESSER 3.0 federal grant. This is the third round of stimulus money that we have received from the federal government. This is the largest sum of money that we have received. Clinton City Schools was allocated approximately $1.5 million to be used over the course of the next 3 school years. We are in the process right now that there is a stakeholder period where we need to inform the stakeholders of what we are spending the money on and give opportunity for feedback. And so I wanted to share with you this evening what we intend to use those funds for. So as we looked at school closures and what COVID and the pandemic has done at Clinton City Schools, we have determined the following needs. The first, the grade level that was hit the hardest was our primary grades, particularly first grade. We saw the biggest decline in achievement in first grade just because they missed that ever so foundational time period in kindergarten when we're putting lots and lots of skills together. We also took a fairly large hit in fourth grade in both reading and mathematics. We have 5% of our students that participated in virtual instruction all year long. While some of those students did very, very well, some of them struggled, and we have seen a decrease in test scores from those students. And so we're going to have some gaps to fill in when they return to school next year. Then knowing we had to do instruction a little bit differently this year, we didn't get to do carpet time, we didn't get to do turn and talks, we didn't always get to do small reading groups. We know that we did not get to deliver research-based best practice instruction many times this school year. And then we also know that we had a substitute shortage this school year, which required us to pull teaching assistants to cover classrooms. And when we have to do that, we know that we can't do our intervention, our response to intervention 45-minute groups. So we looked at those being the needs, and then we have tried to target that $1.5 million of how we can recoup and really move the needle, keeping us moving in the right direction. So we're going to use those funds in 3 different buckets. The first bucket is going to be academic supports to accelerate learning. So we're going to make sure that each one of the schools has a certified intervention teacher to help those students who are most at risk, to where they're getting good quality intervention from a certified teacher. We're going to use it for, then we're also going to use it for some social emotional supports for students. So we're looking at adding some guidance counselor time. We're looking at adding a personal accountability class. We're looking at expanding our BEST class, which is our behavior, emotional, social, and trauma class. And then also some professional development, where we partnered with NIET, which is the National Institute of Excellence in Teaching, but it's a national organization that they are working with us to look at our existing data and how we can best utilize our resources to try to close those learning gaps associated with school closures. So we are in the process right now of writing that grant. It is not due until the state until August the 1st, but then we will have access to those funds. So pretty much we intend on using the funds on people, not programs, because we know that it's people that make the difference with our kids, not programs. And so the majority of our funds will be used for salaries to enhance the educational experience across all 3 schools. So just wanted to give you all a chance to ask any questions on how we intend to spend that money.
Any questions for Kelly? That's 3 years, right? You guys spent, you
3
guys spent that
years,
in 3 years?
yes. Our benchmark data came back with already, and it looks really, really good. It looks, I think that we are going to see us fare very well on T and Ready. It's a hold harmless year, but I do anticipate that we're going to be overall pleased. I think we're going to see the benefits of us being open brick and mortar all year when other school districts weren't able to do that, but I think we're going to be pleased when we see test scores come out.
Any questions?
Yeah, Ms. Johnson, how did you end up your enrollment at the end of the year?
We ended up, our total enrollment, we dropped by maybe 4 or 5 students, but not significant. They did do a BEP hold harmless this year, so they calculated our BEP and what it would be with our enrollment. and then what it would be with the hold harmless, and we did qualify for the hold harmless year. Scott can probably best quote, but I think it was only off by like $90,000 or $95,000, so we were real close, but we did qualify for the BEP hold harmless for this year.
Had there been any insight for next year's enrollment by the way they pre-enroll with the K?
It's really too early to tell. I mean, we've gotten back our registrations from our existing students, but it will ebb and flow. Ebb and flow all summer long. We ended the year with 41 virtual students, and the majority of those are coming back. The good news is that several of those were homeschool and joined us last year just because we were offering virtual, but they've chosen to come back brick and mortar. So we're getting a couple of our homeschool families that were prior to COVID were homeschooled. They're coming back to school. So, I mean, I think we should at least hold steady, if not see an increase, but I guess time will tell.
So the people that are doing virtual, that counted as part of the BEP also?
It did, it did.
Thought so.
It did. We are not, you're going to see some school systems that are going to continue offering virtual next year, but because we are no longer in a state of emergency, we could not offer that without setting up a virtual school. So that would have been adding an additional school. And frankly, what we saw some parents worked really, really hard on the virtual and did a fantastic job. But we also, it's very, very difficult for working parents. And we saw the academic achievement drop with those kids. And being a small school system, we just know brick and mortar is the best instruction. And we can't really afford to offer a virtual school because we're not willing to sacrifice our tradition of excellence.
Thank you.
Thanks. You get him twice today.
We're about to say, now we'll see why he was so nice to us up front.
On the nose.
Setting y'all up. We do have a budget amendment that would need your approval. Budget amendment number 4. There's a memo in our board packet. You can see some of the highlights, but generally speaking, we're increasing our deficit by $64,000. We have a $550,000 deficit now, and we're going to increase that, so it'll be about $600,000. The reason for that is we finished the addition in the current fiscal year, so the expenditures for that, above and beyond $1 million that we borrowed, is what's causing the deficit. And the addition kind of came in with the parking lot and the addition, about 1.7 million all wrapped up together. So that's why we do have a budgeted deficit. We're using the fund balance to pay for that addition. Other increase and decreases reflect some of the major portions would be just adjusting some payroll to reflect some program changes that were implemented throughout the year, increases to contracted services for our technology improvements, and increases in capital and equipment expenditures to reflect HVAC and fire prevention improvements, and also a new digital sign that we're going to be getting at Clinton Elementary. No recommended budget amendments for federal projects or cafeteria fund. Those will probably wrap up next month for y'all.
You hear a motion to approve budget amendment number 4.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride? Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker? Councilman Farah?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Budget amendment number 4 passes. How's the budget looking for next year?
It's done. It's
Well, how's it looking?
looking great. It's balanced.
What can I ask?
Everything's
Get
funded.
one word answer.
We're not
This
hitting
was
you
good.
up for money.
No, I hope not.
Yeah.
We're gonna start hitting you all up for some money. Trying to get David to smile. He's not smiling on that one.
I've got it. If you wanted me to go over with
No,
it?
that's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted an overview. Thank
I
you.
love
Any
talking about
questions
my
for
budget.
any questions for Scott? Thanks, Scott.
Thank
Appreciate it. Clinton Regional Planning Commission report. Councilman Gann.
It has been a busy month for the Board of Zoning and Appeals and the Regional Planning Commission. They met in regular session on May the 10th, the Board of Zoning and Appeals, Applicant Robert Fulton requesting rear setback variance from 25 to 23 feet for property located at 401 Scruggs Avenue. His plan is to combine some properties there and to build an additional house with an adjoining carport. And so he needed to move it back by 2 feet, and that was approved. Rick Meredith requesting rear setback to 0 feet for a detached garage located at 422 Mariner Point Drive. There is a TDOT required 40-foot clearance off the lake, so he's not putting it in the lake. There's still plenty of clearance there, so that was approved. Then applicant Easter Surveying, items 3 and 4, requesting side setbacks. This is on Hendrickson Street. The plan there is to build a duplex, and this is a non-conforming, but based upon everything concerned, it looks like it's the best solution to trying to improve this situation. It needs upgrading and improvement, so that was approved. Applicant Dagan Green requesting front setback from 30 feet to 25 feet for property located at 105 Edward Dyson Drive. As I remember, this is, again, it's another cul-de-sac that they're trying to align the front of the houses so that they're on the same level, and this is, we agreed to that. Then applicant Wesley Wilson requesting front setback variance from 30 feet to 15 feet for property located at 350 Riverview Drive. This piece of property, basically, he's got a huge hill in his backyard, and it's a matter of either building it on the front part of the property or doing a tremendous amount of excavating. And so we granted him the right to have a 15-foot setback rather than do all that excavating so he can put his house on the front. And then Fairfield Inn, located at 130 Tanner Lane, Allen Sign Company requested an additional wall sign for the new Fairfield Inn. And this was granted. That will give them one sign. Both of these will be on the building itself. One sign facing the interstate and one sign facing Seavers Boulevard on the building itself rather than up on a pole. And then the Planning Commission, applicant William Stevenson and Blythe Sanders requesting final plat review for property located on Lee Road. This was a combination of properties, a re-subdivision. Applicant I-75 Industrial Group had 2 items. This has been a continuing situation. This may involve a donut in the zoning, some transfers of property, so they're still working on that, and they're not ready to present that yet, so both of these items were deferred. B&B Properties requesting final plat review for property located at 104 Holbrook Subdivision, and then following that, site plan review for property located at 104 Holbrook Subdivision. The item 4, this is along Oak Ridge Highway, and the plan is for 8 condominium apartments there along the highway. And it was a matter of 4 separate or 8 together. And what I think was decided that it would be better for 8 together, but that's going to involve some reorganization and some variances and such. So item 4 was passed, but item 5 was deferred till they can work out the details on what they want to do there. And then specially called meeting on May the 13th. There was Buzz Goss requesting dwelling units for the purpose of permanent occupancy located on all levels for property located at 307 Main Street. The property is zoned B1, H1. This is the Daugherty building. And this was to clarify the oversight approval granted him on September 14th. A lot of things, as I explained there, we still got preliminary site plan, final site plan, but his question involves dwelling on all the levels, and in consideration of this is probably the best solution to upgrading and putting that building in use, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted the fact that we grant all dwelling on all 5 levels. Any questions?
Will TDOT be involved in, let's say the condos come in at Holbrook? They have a Holbrook entrance there to the subdivision. Will they each end, will have an entrance onto the boulevard?
The plans that we saw at the meeting only had one entrance.
So go up Holbrook and come in that
Well,
way?
no, there's an entrance on the highway.
Okay, all right.
That's the only one we saw. Now, I don't know that they may plan one off Holbrook Drive also, but to deal with TDOT, they'd have to, I'm not sure if they already have one or if they're going to have to request one.
Do they automatically do a red light study when something like that happens?
Not that I'm aware of, because that area, I think the area across the street has been recently purchased, and there's a lot of development in that area. As you know, there's been a lot of discussion over the years about a red light at Mariner Point, and we can't convince the state that there's a
If we
need.
can't get one there, they're not gonna get one.
We can't convince the state that there's a need for one there, so I don't think we'll convince them there's one on down the road that we need.
Larry, in the Doherty building, I've got a few calls on that, subsidized. Any details on that as the income parameters or what's?
They have set, I don't have it with me, they have set the prices for the one-bedroom efficiency, for the one-bedroom. They've set all the prices. And, I think there's some eligibility for some government grants, but even at that, we emphasize, we're not looking for low-income housing. We want this to be, something that is contributing to the downtown area and not necessarily a low-income housing area.
Will you all have any control of that on the zoning board as far as what they'll put the parameters at?
I know that they plan to screen all the applicants and do a lot of things there. I'm not sure how much we're at their mercy there.
The price points on the apartments, if it's one
Yeah.
bedroom is $750, 2 bedrooms $900, and 3 bedrooms is $1,100. The best, and this is my impression, the best comparison to use in the city that's been done this way are the apartments behind the Walgreens out towards the interstate. That's the same type of program. So a lot of people are trying to compare it to the towers, to some other subsidized housing, and it's just not the same
It's not
kind of deal.
comparable.
And probably, if you go outside of that, and again, this is just my thought is, I think it's close to what the Carriage Trace apartments were back in the day. It's a different program today, because it's just, the program's evolved, but it's still that type of funding that they received. And I don't think, with my two examples that I had with Carriage Trace and Carriage Hills, which represents about 10% of our population, and those apartments behind Walgreens, I think they've been good projects, and I think it's been well worth the effort and the funding. But my understanding, and you might want to talk around this, the pilot that's been approved, we've already approved the matrix on that as a council, and I guess the county did too. So my impression is, I at first thought and was told that it was going to come back to us, but it will not be coming to this board.
Correct, they'll go to the Anderson County IDB board
Yeah.
for their approval. Also, while we're talking about it, another issue that came up after some research staff and I have looked at, they had requested 70 dedicated parking spots. After some, looking back in the mid-60s and 70s, a lot of urban renewal federal funds was used to create that parking area. We do all of downtown and Market Street, and due to that, we cannot dedicate them parking spots. Now, can they use them? Yes, it's public parking, but we cannot set aside 70 spots just for the use of the towers.
I think that's probably a good compromise for both sides,
Darty
not
building.
for or against that it is be used for public parking.
It has
Before-
to remain that.
Yeah,
For whatever it's worth, they have assured us they're going to screen all the applicants.
yeah.
Who would that committee be? Because I think a lot of developments have different screening committees, and where do they come from? And
I would guess that'd be the management committee.
Well, they're a management company. Guys, later on in the meeting, I'm going to ask council for a workshop later in June. One thing at this workshop, I've asked Mark Mamatoff, well-known attorney, a lot of these issues out of Knoxville, to come speak to us, kind of the pros and cons of both, and to be able to answer any questions you guys have
Pros and cons of both. What's
about
both?
the whole.
High-tech development.
Yeah,
So, just in educational purposes, because what we approved, they asked us for basically what I would call a declaratory action, stating that they could do something they could already do. I remember distinctly saying, "Why are we doing this?" And it had to do with funding. It is a step to get the low-income tax housing credit funding, which is very complex. If you spend any time, if you can understand how they come up with some of that, then I want the education, because it's difficult to understand if you're just a layman. Our refusal, if we refused that night, it wasn't made clear to me, but however, had we refused, we could have been found somehow in a breach of Fair Housing Act. So, there's a lot of things around this development that we need to know as a community. Developers, I think they're always going to tell you it's rainbows and puppy dogs and sunshine. And that's great, and I hope it is, because I like all those things. However, I think we need to understand what the impact what is the developer's track record in LIHTC deals and developments. I understand it's a very complex issue. Not every developer does them. I think we need to know who the management company is. I think we need to know, who is going to do that screening. And then, what is our accountability? I mean, if all these representations that have been made to various officials, whether it's the planning commission, whether it's city council, whoever, what is the accountability if it fails to materialize? I think that, and so I want to talk to someone that's educated in these matters, that knows, that can tell me, okay, educate me on what a LIHTC deal looks like and a LIHTC development looks like, and what are the pros, the cons, and having one of those right downtown. And I think that's fair, so we can educate ourselves, so we can just know. Not that, I don't know if we can do anything one way or the other as council, but I want to make it abundantly clear that we are always going to abide by all applicable rules, regulations, federal and state laws, as a council and as a body, as a deliberating legislative body. So that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thanks, Larry. Clinton Utilities Board report. Fair?
So in your packet, you see the budget and not the budget, but the expenses that we've had all the way through March. We're ahead of projections, been doing well, and we're working on our budget, and I don't have the details of it, but I will follow up next meeting if there's any questions. It was a very short and succinct meeting last month, unlike probably Planning Commission, it sounds like.
2.5 hours.
Any questions?
Any questions for Zach? Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
General Government Report, Mr. Houck.
Hey, Mayor, just got a couple of items. In order to review the proposed 2021-2022 fiscal year budget plan, and due to various ongoing projects throughout the city, we feel that we need to hold a workshop to review the various items with council. We recommend scheduling the workshop on June 15th at 6 o'clock. That's a Tuesday. We've got a couple of councilmen out that can make it that night, and also that was a night Mr. Mamatoth could definitely be here. I think during our last conversation, we need him to answer some of these questions.
What date was that?
Tuesday, the 15th, 6 o'clock.
Works for me.
I can do it.
I'm fine.
And we've got,
Did you tell her the purpose of this meeting?
I just did.
I mean, you talk about the meeting we had with, as far as the TIFs, as far as,
Well, that's what we'll talk about,
Okay.
all those projects, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I was on, I'm typical male, I was writing the date down, and went blank for a while.
Everybody good
So
with
is
that?
everybody good with June 15th?
Yeah, June 15th,
Okay.
okay, good. Finance, I'll defer to Gail.
You've got your sales tax report in your packet. You'll notice the city was up almost 23.5%. Countywide, we were up a little over 33%. Year-to-date, both of us are up a little over 12%. So the revenues, and looking at state numbers, same thing with state numbers, they're up proportionately across the state in this year. Our revenues were currently at 98.1% of budget, so we've almost met our budget. Of course, we've got 3 more months of state shared revenue and sales tax, so obviously we're going to exceed our projected revenues. Part of that, if you'll remember, a little over 400,000 of that is either TennCares money or State of Tennessee money that they gave us, but even taking that out, we're at a little over 94%, so our revenues have come in very good this year, and in comparison with our expenditures, we have still remained within our projections on our expenditures this year, which we cut due to the anticipated loss in revenue, so we're looking really good this year.
Any questions for Gail? I was going to ask, what about our monies that we receive from the federal and state level? We got any more clarification as far as what we can use it for?
One thing I want to talk about at the workshop, last week they put out a 150-page document that really told us no more than we already knew.
Does it state or federal?
Federal. State money is going to be, I think we're getting around 123, 128. That money's pretty wide open what we can use it for. The only real restriction, the governor said it cannot be used for any projects that are eligible for the local Parks and Recreation Fund. So we couldn't use it for parks, but it was kind of wide open on other things. The 2.7 from the federal government is what we still don't have very good clarification. The comptroller has pretty much recommended to cities, we should get 50% of it here in the next couple weeks, is till we get better clarification, just to sit on the money, don't do anything. We had till December of 2024 to commit it, so we've got well over 2.5 years to even decide what we will spend it on. So hopefully they'll come out with some better categories, because right now lost income, water, sewer, broadband are the only 4 things that's really allowed. So we're hoping to get some more clarification.
Was there been any discussion as far as we're still looking into for other options to use that money?
Yes.
Any questions for Gail? Thanks, Gail.
One other thing I was going to have Adam Velk, who is our new Green McAdoo Museum Director, come to the podium, but he's come limping in, hurt himself playing Frisbee last night. So Adam, if you want to just stand up, I won't make you come to the podium. But,
It wasn't Frisbee, it was Fight Club.
there you go.
I think I got it there, you should see the other.
Larry, you want to speak? You probably had more Dillons.
In dealing with Adam, I think, 2 or 3 months now, Adam, something like that? How long have you been here?
January, first week of January, I believe.
Everything flies. But I would say that we have been considerably lucky to have Adam with us. He is very dedicated, very organized. Energetic is probably an understatement. He is determined to bring Green McAdoo to its fullest use, and we're certainly glad to have Adam with us.
He didn't look too energetic walking up to the podium.
Yeah.
A wounded dog.
But he's a quick healer.
As I say, Larry, this is for you, completely unrelated. Completely unrelated.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so things at the Green McAdoo right now. We're our main focus right now. We're gearing up for a big Juneteenth celebration. It's going to be an all-day event, kickstarting June 19th. Going to be kickstarting with a prayer breakfast that we're going to be doing. There's going to be plenty of different events. We're going to be doing a cake walk where we give out 10 free cakes to anyone who wants to participate. We're doing a movie on the front lawn. We got just ordered our big inflatable outdoor screen. We got our projector. We're going to be doing Hidden Figures at 8:30. We're going to have live music from 6:30 to 8:30. I had a meeting with the Douglas J. Aveda Institute in Knoxville on Friday, I want to say. Friday or Saturday, and it was they're a hair school out in right in downtown. I had a meeting with them. Originally, we had planned on doing a hair competition, but instead it's going to be, the best way I can describe it, it's going to be a hair production. This thing is going to be insane. The stuff that these people can do with hair, They're going to be interweaving it with history. They're going to be showcasing some really kind of incredible cultural significance involved with hair and hairstyles. The entire event is going to be free. The main thing for us is just making sure that, you know, everything we do is accessible, whether it's, coming into the museum or whether it's, doing an event. We want to make sure we're not excluding anybody. So it's going to be free to the public. We're going to be accepting donations. We're definitely going to be accepting donations. And then on top of that, meeting with a lot of people, we got a new garden that we just set up with a couple of smart pots in the backyard. We've been working with the UT Agricultural Extension right across the street. I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow to pick up some pepper plants that we're going to be planting there. And the goal is with this garden to, one, be able to talk to people about the importance of growing your own food and, the sustainability behind it and, how easy it is to grow your own food and the importance of eating healthy. But also talking about some of the issues of, social injustices involving food when it comes to food deserts, when it comes to, racial inequality of food access. So we're going to be using that, and then everything that we grow is going to be pretty much available to anybody in the community who wants it, and all the stuff that we have left over is going to be going to the local food bank. We want to make sure that, for too long, museums have really focused on, we're here, you should be happy to have us. And we're taking a new direction where we're showing you guys what we can do for you and asking how we can be of service to you. So that's what we've been doing. And then also we're doing community cleanups. We got another one coming up first Saturday of every month. This next month we're going to be going to Sunset Cemetery and be doing a cleanup over there. So we're keeping pretty busy on top of a bunch of educational programs that we got going. But I'd tell you what, I'm so excited with what we're doing here, and I'm real excited for the board. I know Larry doesn't have enough to do around here. He's certainly not on enough different boards and whatnot, but we still very lucky to have him, very happy to keep him, having him help us out, and as well as everybody else. But
I attended the Jazz on the Hill a few weeks ago, and it seemed like it was very well received and attended, and
gonna be every
looking
Tuesday.
forward to every Tuesday of every month.
Second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday of every month.
yeah, so with the exception of this month, which we're rolling the Jazz on the Hill into the Juneteenth event. But it's going to be, from 6:30 to 8:30, it's going to be live music. Sit, bring a chair, bring a blanket, bring some hummus, crackers, whatever it may be. Kick back, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we don't eat a lot of hummus around here. Just want to let you know.
You're missing out. All right, you get that roasted red pepper stuff. But yeah, so that's a little bit what we got going on over at the center. And feel free to come by anytime. I'm happy to talk with anybody if you got ideas, or we're all about working with partnerships within the community, and like I said, bringing people out and teaching them a little bit of the importance of how great Clinton is and how great some of our citizens are.
Great, thank you.
No
Glad
problem.
you're here. Doing a good job.
Glad
Appreciate
to
it.
have you.
Anything else? Cool. All right. Thank you.
Mayor, that's all I have.
Any questions for Roger?
Roger, this time of year, you hear a lot about speeding with kids. I know we're doing that study. Any feedback yet on some of the options maybe for some high-traveled areas?
Yeah, some roundabouts maybe in a couple areas, some of the speed islands like we put out here by the middle school, some options there. We've just got our traffic engineers looking at about 3 or 4 different areas in town, so it's kind of kept them busy. Of course, one of the other main areas is up the interstate. They did a preliminary plan there that's pretty interesting, but they're still looking at the other two. I know Chief Becker's on vacation this week, but we had talked, he's been using some of the governor's state highway money for overtime to use strictly for patrol, speeding. I know they've been working the Eagle Bend area quite a bit. We had a complaint area over on Delta that we did some work on last week, of course Riverside, River Bend. So we've been hitting
How
some
would
of
that
those
work
areas.
if there was, would we poll that neighborhood to see if they're interested in something like that, or we just do it? How
Probably
would that-
just do it. I mean, it's like a poll I did one year on a sidewalk in a neighborhood. Everybody wanted the sidewalk, but they wanted it on the other side of the street.
Right,
So, I
right.
mean, it'd be areas, you know, for instance, on Eagle Bend, or you'd have to pick areas, especially if you did the islands, it would be in between people's driveways, so you wouldn't force somebody to make a right turn or coming out of there. It would still be right or left, but there's still plenty of areas to do it.
Any other questions? Thanks, Roger. Under ordinances and resolutions, first reading of new ordinances. Ordinance number 661, this is for the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Hear a motion for approval?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roger, you'd like to talk about this a little, just the Cliff Notes?
Yeah, of course, this is first reading, and we'll probably have some minor changes between first and second reading, but kind of, you know, the Cliff Notes, once again, the property tax will remain at 86 cents per 100, so that's no increase. We'll have employee raises this year at 2%. We are going to increase the employee longevity pay. This is something that we looked at doing last year. Of course, when COVID hit, we had to back off of it. So we're looking at taking it from $25 to $50 per service year, up to 30 years. Increase the uniform allowance for the police and fire department from $700 to $800. We invested $25,000 in the Main Street downtown program. It's a 3-year commitment of $25,000, so we've did that. We've estimated employee health insurance, which this is always just, we don't know. We won't know probably September at 15%. Our contribution to TCRS, we decreased it from 9 to 7. Everything's really doing good there, so we were able to do that. Of course, the state hall income tax, which was state legislatures changed that, so we had to zero that out, which is a little bit. We took most of our revenues and expenditures back up to pre-COVID levels that we had dropped last year, and we increased our street resurfacing. We've been putting $100,000 in. We put $150,000 in this year. So, but that's the highlights of it.
Any other questions?
Any thoughts on the paving this summer, what we'll do? or-
Well, we pretty well depleted it a year and a half ago when we did Westwood Estates, so it kind of took it, and then, of course, last year with COVID, we put 0 in it. You know, my biggest thing I'd love to do, if we could use some of this 2.7, we could actually complete our paving list. So we're kind of waiting to look at that. If not, we'll probably look at year-end money, try to put some more in it, maybe at least do a portion of it. I think to completely do our paving, one thing was going to be like 1.5 million. So we could, that would do everything on Dwayne's list. But like I said, if we're using just our dollars, we'll probably have to do like we've been doing, a couple 250, 300,000 a year. But that's been a pretty good project. We've did a lot of paving the last 6 years.
We plan on, when we do Miner's Point, we're going to do it like we did Westwood.
Possibly one
For the most
thing
part.
we've looked at with our TPO, which we're a member of, they're offering a pavement management program, and we're looking at possibly participating in that. And that's where actually they would have, instead of Dwayne or I or somebody just driving through and looking at the streets through your windshield, they would actually have experts in this field come out and do a survey of our streets and put them in prioritized on either re-asphalting. And there certainly are other measures out there to get longevity in the streets, so they could also recommend some of those programs. So we're looking at participating in that. Oak Ridge, I know, will participate in it, so it could be actually a cost savings to do it.
Any
Microphone.
updates on the pool grant? I've had a couple people with the warmer weather.
Right now, we're on hold. You know, the timetable on the pool grant, it was supposed to have been, the applications were supposed to come out last year, usually in January, February. Well, those were delayed. The applications didn't even come out till, I want to think, September, October. roughly, and with an award date of, we thought, early this year. Right now, no grants on the state level have been awarded. We've got another TAP grant for the rest of the Main Street renovations. It should have been awarded in January. We're not hearing anything. So right now, the grants, the LPRF fund grant is about a year to year and a half behind on being awarded. So we're still waiting.
Are they saying, what are they saying when you were checking on it?
Last we heard through the LPR, TAP grant, we've heard nothing. Last we heard on the LPRF that they had went through the grading process and sent to the governor's office.
But do we have a plan if that grant, you know, we can't keep the pool closed indefinitely?
Correct.
I know we're
If it
talking
don't,
about
I
doing
mean,
changes, what's our plan?
The total project's about $1 million project right now with the LPRF, and it's 50/50. You know, kind of our thoughts were if we don't get the grant, we'll probably have to back up. Oh, we will back up and look at just a renovation of what's there. I think which this has probably went up because it's a year and a half old, was about $350 to correct the problems. That's just with the pool. Besides the pool, the other big problem is that thing was built in the early 60s. There's nothing there that's really ADA compliant. So we would have to bring the entrances up, the parking, the entrance into the pool actually, the restrooms. So we would have a major ADA overhaul too. So probably still talking, I would guess, a $500,000 renovation on our part.
We would envision it be open next summer.
We were hoping to get the grant in January of this year and be moving forward with this summer being open, but yes, we hope to be.
But by comparison, none of the state pools are open either.
Yeah, because of COVID.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride, Councilman Harrell?
Yes.
Councilman Stamey?
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker, Councilman Farrell?
Yes.
And Mayor Burton.
Yes, ordinance number 661 passes on first of two readings. Under second and final readings, we have ordinance number 647, amending the CMC Title 14 agricultural uses in R1 zones. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion, Roger, you'd like to?
Yeah, this was an ordinance that came up, I guess it's actually been first reading a year and a half ago on customary general farming and agricultural uses. I know we had passed where it took, and this came from Planning Commission, a minimum of 3 acres, and we were looking at maybe some type of agricultural overlay to where that would be allowed. Well, both MTAS and East Tennessee Development, which are our planners, that came back and said, really, we can't do it that way, that would not be a legal action. So what they have recommended is that we do a special exception by the Board of Zoning Appeals for customary general farming and agricultural uses as a principal or accessory use of the lot, provided the minimum lot size is 3 acres. So otherwise, you still couldn't have the farming unless you had 3 acres of land and had the special exception from BZA.
Any discussion?
So this was our friend out there, Black Ice Valley?
Yes.
Horses, which made sense.
Yes.
But we were trying to carefully tailor ability for her to have horses and not have running cattle on Eagle Bend.
Correct.
And this is the solution.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, my only concern on this is, and it's because it goes through the BZA, it doesn't go to council. And I don't know, I think the elected body, I would like for that to come to us, but there's no way that's going to happen.
There's no way, because it would, if it goes to BZA, then anything, if I take it before BZA and they turn me down, then it actually goes to Chancery Court instead of back to council.
Yeah. I think it's a good program. I just like to, I mean, I want to support it, but I still like to have, in the ideal world, to have that safeguard where it comes to council. But again, this can't happen in this process. Any other discussion?
But it sort of is through your choice of who you put on that board, you know? I mean, they represent.
Yeah, I know. I know we can stress, we can, give our 2 cents if we support or not. I'm sure the neighbors and citizens will do that. You're correct. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann?
Yes.
Councilman McBride, Councilman Harrell.
Yes.
Councilman Stamey.
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker, Councilman Farrell.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes, ordinance number 647 passes on second and final reading. Under ordinance number 659, this is amending the City of Clinton travel policy. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Gail, do you want to take this one on?
We're just bringing some rates up to probably current levels, tweaking some language, trying to simplify. Probably the major overhaul was, again, getting the reimbursement rates, using the CONUS rates with East Tennessee instead of just an arbitrary amounts. That's really all we did with it.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann.
Yes.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Yes.
Councilman Stamey.
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker, Councilman Farrell.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes, ordinance number 659 passes on second and final reading. Last ordinance is ordinance number 660, amending the CMC Title 14, Section 14-613, which is the P1 Mixed Use Park District. Hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
What's this? Can you refresh my memory?
The idea here was to try to ensure that in creating parks that we don't disturb or we don't drastically change the configuration of the land area. In other words, we don't want somebody coming in and knocking off half a mountain to put in an apartment complex.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gann.
Yes.
Councilman McBride. Councilman Harrell.
Yes.
Councilman Stamey.
Yes.
Councilman Hatmaker, Councilman Farrell.
Yes.
Mayor Burton.
Yes, ordinance number 660 passes on second and final reading. Under old business, I have one thing I'd like to open up with. Last meeting, I think it was Councilman Vice Mayor Farah was asking about Roger's contract and kind of looking at that as far as extension and also an increase, competitive increase in raise. And that has been done. We are going to be updating, with your all's approval, Roger's contract ending June 30th, 2027. That's a little bit over 2 years. And I thought it'd be best to do June 30th because that'd be the end of the budget cycle. So if and when he does decide to retire, if it's that period, then it's more of a clean break from a budget standpoint. His salary, he's pretty much has just gotten the standard percentage increase that the other employees have gotten over his time as city manager. And we talked about being more competitive as far as looking at other numbers and things like that to increase his pay by $5,000, which will put him at a good level, and hopefully they'll do it until he's gone. No, I'm joking.
Till you retire.
Yeah, until you
Not
retire.
gone.
But I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's being competitive, and I think it's really thanking him for all he does day in, day out, because I'm telling you, a lot of people, y'all see it, but a lot of people don't see what's going on in each department, and in City Hall. When we were playing catch-up from last year with COVID, we got a lot of things going on, and I think we're at our maximum capacity as far as being able to do what we're doing right now. And this is going to get better, hopefully, but I know that each department head's working hard, and I know Roger is, and again, very much appreciate your efforts, day in, day out. Agree? Amen? All right. So I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Anybody would like to add anything?
I'd like to say, Mr. Houck, he always keeps us updated with stuff, whether it's positive or negative. And he always asks me when I don't know about you guys, but he'll always ask my opinion. He may turn his phone off when I give my opinion, but he always keeps us up to date, and I appreciate that very much.
If he doesn't have the answer, he'll find it out for you
Sure.
very quickly.
Sure.
So we appreciate that.
I just had a quick question. That is this. So, I got an email from Gail, and I just wanted to make sure I understood what I'm voting on here, and if those terms can be revisited during the budget process. This, I guess it's kind of, this question for Gail.
Oh, the terms of his contract revisited?
Well, I saw two different numbers. So so I want to make sure I understand what number I'm voting on. Because I want to vote for the higher of the two numbers that I'm thinking of.
Well, I mean, his contract will be based on the one you have in your packet.
Okay.
And then, of course, he's always subject to whatever raise we put in place, which would apply this year as well.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
We just roll those numbers forward.
I'm satisfied.
Is that
Yes.
answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Got 2 more years. Re-enlisted. Any old business? Any more old business? New business, I do want to jump in one time, and then anybody else can jump in after that. We've had a lot of discussions. I know y'all probably gotten a lot of phone calls too. Every time a metal building is constructed in Clinton, we always ask, why do we still have the metal structures and not another exterior? I think the Planning Commission really hasn't focused on that because they never have. But I think with this, I think we need to ask, and I think it's in the body of our codes and everything that we can do this, is to require something else besides a metal structure. And I think, I personally think we've evolved as a city to increase our standard as far as the investment people make here to make a living in doing business within the city limits. And I don't think that's too much to ask. So I want to ask, I don't know if we need a motion or not, but this said, just the highlight here, recommended previously on adopting commercial policies in the land use plan that mention compatible appearance and consistency with the region without locking into any specific requirements. So for example, if you have a building you're going to build and there's brick or stone in that area or different material, then I think we would encourage them to use the same consistency from a material standpoint. This could afford the Planning Commission some discretion on a case-by-case basis, and this is from Joe Barrett. He will research this issue further and talk about it soon. But I think we're going to ask the Planning Commission to please consider that, and maybe we'll have more direction down the road. I don't think we need unless somebody is opposed to this, I don't think we need to make a motion on this, but as a group to agree that Planning Commission look at this issue. That's all right. Any comments or?
Mr. Gann, through any of your meetings through the years, have you ever had a contractor or a developer mention this or let you know that it would change their mind if they had to add 13,000 brick or whatever?
We've never really considered in most cases the composition of the building. We've been looking more at
Sure.
waterfall, size of the building,
Sure.
grade of the hill, which is one we're looking at right now. Composition, and I don't think that's something we mind looking at to try to consider, staying within the confines of what we want the city of Clinton to be.
Sure.
I'm sure at some point we're gonna have somebody say, wait a minute, I can't afford to do this. But we'll deal with that if we have to.
Well, I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I think if it's a few $1,000s they can't afford to come and invest in here, then it might not be a good idea for them to build and be in business. I mean, you look at Dollar General, you see thousands of them. And I've seen brick Dollar General because that's what that community they're invested in requires. And the same as Dollar Tree. It's the same type. It's more of these big chains that are coming in and doing what they do. But I think if we ask, I think they'll comply.
Yeah.
So Bill, no motion or anything? We're good? Okay. All right.
I'm sure Joe will bring it up at our
Yeah.
planning commission.
I'll give this to you too, just to have handy. E.T., under
Yep.
new business?
Sure, I'd like to get our department heads involved here. I've had questions, or I wouldn't have brought this up. The phase at the football field, that looks like it's going pretty darn good for as much dirt as they've removed. Also, the earth's being removed beside People's Bank of the South. Is that the Sonic going in there, or what?
On the right side?
It was just right beside People's Bank of the South.
Oh, no, that's the.
We got a road on the other side.
That's the Starbucks and package store.
Okay, so that's not going into Buzz's Barbecue. That's strip mall.
Same old.
I know
separate-
that, but
Separate building.
Yes, so he's built.
Starbucks is not going in that building. Okay. I guess the update on Carden Farms and remodeling of the Armory.
The Armory, we still have not got a confirmation from them saying they're moving out. We have met with the architect last month to get some ideas of what we need to do. I have been approached last week by the Boys and Girls Club that they may be interested again, which would be, I think, a fabulous use for the facility. So we got some talks going there. Carden Farm, of course, Public Works has been tied up at the football project, but most of the dirt that we moved off the football field, we took to the Carden Farm, 17 acres, and using it there to fill in some low spots. Some of it we stockpile for future projects, but the plan is just as soon as Dwayne and them get done pretty much over here, and they should be this week, weather permitting, we'll be over there. We've got the walking trail laid out. We've got the, do we have the dog park areas laid out? So we got most of it laid out, sprayed where we can tell it. I know we've already applied for the electrical and water meters to be put in, so we should be
Good.
here in just the next few weeks going strong on that project.
And compliments to the street department, the Maud Brown Park. It's a beautiful little place now that the grass is really taken in and so forth. It's a good job. Thank you. Debbie, thank you for, you're overseeing the football field, aren't you? No.
He's like,
He's done a lot more stuff over there than I have.
he's like General Patton at the 50-yard line. Every time I go by, he's just looking
You know,
with a stare.
the football project really worried me because we've been having so much rain. And I mean, really turned out great timing because we've had dry weather and they've been able to work almost every day. So it's really helped.
So LED lights is part of that project?
Dr. Parrott told me today they were looking at putting new lights in also.
So we can flash them off and on too.
That's what he said.
There we go.
Is that going to be for this year or
I
down the
think
road?
this year, what, JB? I think this year, yeah.
Good.
Coach
Any
hoping for.
fair update?
Did we say the sod?
It's 47 days. It's just an update. It's going to happen.
You can get your
Good.
piece if you want.
Good. Anything else?
And Mayor, before you bang that gavel, you had mentioned maybe doing something, our city luncheon.
Nobody listens to me, Zach.
I do. I try to. So is that something we can do?
We can, I mean, we talked about it after the last meeting, but literally the last 3 weeks with some of the projects have been busy and we haven't looked at any dates. I mean, we talked about using the Great of the Wood Pavilion, being able to do it at J.C. Park, maybe getting Buddies or one of the local businesses to cater it. So I mean, yeah, we can do it. Get a good time. Maybe we can look at the end of June.
I think it'd be great.
I think it would too, before it gets too hot. So, good reminder. Thank you. Anything else? Good. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I banged it for you right there.